Hi everyone, Sam here. Today we're going to take a quick look at a tool called Azure Storage Explorer. Now this is a really useful tool created by Microsoft to allow you to work with storage accounts in a much easier fashion than trying to do it through the portal, and with a lot more features than you can do through the portal. I use this tool all the time and I find it's really useful if you've got to deal with storage accounts and some other areas as well. But I found that an awful lot of people don't actually know this exists or that it's available for them to use. So Storage Explorer, say, is a tool from Microsoft. It's available to download from this site, and I'll put the link in the show notes. It's a cross-platform tool, so you can run it on Windows, Mac, and Linux, and it allows you to do quite a few things with storage accounts. So we'll go ahead and download the Windows version. And run the installer. And there's nothing terribly exciting here, so we'll just run through that and get that installed. And we'll go ahead and finish that and launch Storage Explorer. Okay, so the first time you launch it up, you're obviously not going to be connected to Azure, so it's going to ask you to connect up your account. Now you have a few options as to how you actually connect. You can log in with your Azure account, which is the easiest one, and that'll give you access to all of your storage accounts. But you can also use a connection string, a shared access signature, or a storage account name and key, which will obviously give you access to a specific storage account only. But if you've only got that information and you haven't got access via your actual Azure account, then you can use that. You can also attach to local storage. So if you're using Visual Studio or VS Code or anything to do development and you've got emulators locally for storage, you can attach to those as well. We'll go ahead and log in with our Azure account. And we'll get rid of this dialog. And you can see now that when we're logged in, I actually have all my subscriptions listed here. So I'm only interested in things from this subscription, so we'll hit apply on that. And that's now going to load up all my storage accounts and my Cosmos DB databases, and we'll look at that in a little bit. It will also, if I had any data lake storage accounts, it would show them as well, but I don't have any of those configured at the moment. But if we take a look at a storage account, you can see underneath that we've got access to all the different areas of the storage account, so blobs, files, queues, and tables. And we can expand blobs, and we can see now we've got the actual containers, and then inside the container you can see the files. So once you've got into a container for blobs, obviously we can then do the normal operations we want to with files. So we can upload and download files into here, we can create folders, we can copy the URL to files, copy and paste in other files, delete them. We can create snapshots as well, so we can take a snapshot of a file using blob snapshots. Let's take a quick one of those. And you can see down here in the activities section, it will actually log whatever you're doing and tell you when it's done. So I've created a snapshot. And we can actually manage the snapshots as well. So if we click on that, it'll take us in and we can have a look at things we've got snapshots of, and promote snapshots if we want to, and so on. If we select a particular blob, we can then look on the left-hand side down here and actually get some information about the blob. So its URL, type of blob, whether it's got what kind of access it's got. So it's public read access in this particular blob to the container, and the lease state, and so on. So that's sort of the basic things we can do with blob storage. If you right click on the file, you can also do a few extra things. So one thing you can do is change access tier and change this to hot, cool, or archive storage. So if you want to move files between different levels of storage, you can do that through here. You can get a lease on there, and you can also look at the properties, which gives you pretty much similar information to what's down here on the left. If we go back to the container level, if we right click on that, we get a few extra options, including the option to create shared access signatures. So if you need to create a shared access signature to a container or a storage account, you can do it through the portal, but it's a bit easier to do it through here, particularly if you want to do it at a specific container level. You can come in here and you can create the shared access policy, start time, end time, and give it some permissions on that container. You can also do that at the storage account level as well, so you can go to get shared access signature there. And that gives us a few more options, because now we have the options to define which services you can get access to and whether it's at the service, container, or object level. Other things you can do at the storage account level, you can click on a link to go actually open this in the portal. You can copy the keys for the storage account from here, You can set the default access tier, and you can actually search inside the storage account as well, which is pretty useful. So we looked at blobs. You have similar options for file shares. I don't actually have any configured on here. Queues and tables. Now you'll find for most storage accounts by default they've got these tables already configured, which are your statistics data for the storage account. So when you go and look at the metrics in the portal, that's where these are stored. You can actually have a look at these tables, and you can see the data, and you can import and export this data, edit the data if you wish, and even add rows to tables if you want to. So I could also come in and create a table, and that'll give me a blank table, and then I can add some rows through here. So I need a partition key and a row key by default. Just fill those in. Then I could add some extra properties in here. And then we can click insert, and that's going to create the record for it. Now, if we also have a look, I mentioned you can get to Cosmos DB accounts. So I've got some Cosmos DB databases here. This is the one that I send my smart home data to. So if we have a look in here, we've got this sensor data table, and I can see all the documents that are in my Cosmos DB table as well. So I can click on a document to open it, and you can see in here I can view all the data that's in here. I can delete the document, I can add a new one, and I can actually edit the document as well. So I can do it directly in the panel here. So I can add an attribute here, and then I can click save. I'm not going to because I need that data, but you can see you can edit them as you require. So we'll just discard that. We also have the option to filter queries here. So we can do a select and add some where clauses and so on here to actually filter the data and find the information we need to get. So if you're just looking for some basic interfaces to look at your Cosmos DB data, this is also a really useful tool. As I mentioned, you can also do data lake storage Gen 1 through here. I don't have any data lake accounts at the moment to actually look at that, but it's a very similar process. That's about all there is really. It's a pretty simple tool, but it has a lot of really useful features if you're trying to work with storage accounts or Cosmos DB or data lake and need to look at the data, manipulate the data, and so on. It can be a lot easier to do that than either trying to use the Azure portal, which doesn't have a lot of these features, particularly when it comes to editing things like table storage and queues and so on. You can't put data into those through the portal, so this is a really useful tool to be able to do that. It's free, it's easy to use, and I think it's a great little tool just to be aware of in case you need it. Hopefully that's been helpful, and I'll see you next time on Azure Snippets.